Yo, what's up, boys? Today, I got a story time I think you're all really gonna enjoy. It's about a girl in my class who did something absolutely unexpected during a lockdown. I ain't gonna waste any more time, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the story time, boys. Anyway, so this takes place when I was in middle school, specifically in 8th grade, which is a point in time where kids can be, pretty stupid. I feel like most people grow out of doing stupid stuff in class by the time high school comes around, or at least that's what I've noticed. Like in middle school, there's people who just think really anything is funny. The goof off during class, that's just middle school. Now, I'm currently in 11th grade, and I've noticed so far in high school that most people seem to have grown out of it. No one's acting as silly as they were in middle school because, people mature, people grow out of stuff. That's just how it is. Anyway, so one thing that would always happen towards the beginning of the school year is that there would be lockdowns. Now, for those of you who don't know, a lockdown is a thing where, you lock all the doors, you turn off the lights, you huddle in the corner. It's a pretty standard thing that most schools do a couple times a year in case anyone comes into the school with the intention to hurt people. So one October day, I walk in the first period and I see that we have a sub, which instantly got me kind of excited. I feel like there's only two different types of subs that exist. There's the type that, doesn't really care about anything, just lets you do whatever you want, which is the pretty cool type. That's the type that everybody wants to have. But then there's also the really strict type, the ones who are like, if you breathe without permission in my classroom, I will expel you and you'll have no future. The type that takes your job way too seriously. So I'm walking in class, right? And I don't know what type we're going to have. It could be good, it could be bad. I don't know. Thankfully, we had the first type that day, and he just lets us do our own thing. He didn't really care what we did. So no one really did any work. We all just chatted, including me and my friends. I don't really remember what we were talking about. It was almost 3 years ago. Why would I remember? But what I do remember is that it was a pretty good conversation and I was really enjoying myself. So I'd say around halfway into first period, we hear the principal come on to the announcements and say, we are in a lockdown situation. Now, as I said earlier, drills happen a few times a year, so we weren't really too shocked since we usually do have one around this time. So all of us head to the corner like we're supposed to do, and the sub goes to turn off the lights and lock the door. There wasn't really a need to block the window since our classroom was on the 3rd floor. So our teacher's gonna go lock the door, right? And he attempts to lock it, but get this. The door would not lock. This was problematic for a few reasons, mainly the fact that our door was not locking during a lockdown. If this was not a drill, we would be absolutely screwed. Well, most of us assumes that, yeah, it was just a drill. You never know. There actually could be a crazy person in the building. And if that's the case, yeah, we're fricked. The only way of escape would be jumping out a 3-story window, which I'm pretty sure none of us want to do. Anyway, so the lock ain't locking, which is kind of a big problem during a lockdown where, you're supposed to lock your doors. So me, being the big brain, 500 IQ that I am, me and two of my friends in the class started barricading the door with a huge pile of desks. So that way, if this was not a drill, we'd have a bit of time to prepare before someone came in. 3 years later, I still think that was a pretty smart decision personally. So after we barricade the door, the three of us get into the corner with everyone else, and they tell us, that was smart for barricading the door, which yeah, that honestly felt pretty good at the time. For the next little while, nothing really happens. We're just waiting for the lockdown to be over, like we usually do. A lot of kids, including me, were on their phones to pass the time, and occasionally we would whisper to each other. But yeah, overall, despite the fact that our lock wasn't locking, things were going pretty normal. So now might be a good time to mention that there is this girl in my class who I'm going to call Betty for this story. Now, remember when I said earlier that middle schoolers can, do some pretty stupid stuff? There were some really stupid kids. Betty was one of them. To prove my point, just a few weeks earlier, we had a fire drill, which you typically do at the start of the year, and Betty thought it would be a good idea to throw rocks at her friend, only she missed one, and it hit me right in the head, which she thought was hilarious. See, that's the kind of kid that Betty was. But in Betty's head, I guess she felt that she needed to top that for some reason, because she, I kid you not, screams out the words, "Come kill us!" When you put in the facts that we're in a lockdown and the lock's kind of broken, yeah, that's not a very good combination. Also, I kind of want to know what was running through her mind when she screams that. Did she think, what would be really funny? What if I scream, "Come kill us" during a lockdown while our lock's broken? peak comedy. Totally will not risk my life and the lives of everyone around me. No, definitely won't. Like, I seriously don't get why anyone would actually think that's a good idea. If it was not a drill, she may have actually gotten her wish. Like, I could have died. I was 13 at the time, okay? Like, I didn't want to die. Alright, I'm gonna pause the story time for just a moment. If you've enjoyed this video so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below saying that you subbed. I'll respond to every single comment. Also, if you have a story that you want to send in, the link to both my Discord and my Instagram are in the description. You can DM me on either platform. Now let's get back to the story time. So everyone's shocked by what Betty just said, and we're all staring at her because, you know, she just screamed, "Come kill us," in a situation where that could have actually happened. No one's laughing. It's not a joke. Literally nobody found this funny at the time. Is it funny in retrospect? Definitely 100%. That's why I've told it on the channel now. But Betty decides that she's not really satisfied yet. She doesn't really think she's reached her full potential in humor because she decides to scream, "Come kill us now!" even louder than the first time. Alright, listen here, Betty. I completely get that you just want to be funny, you want to make everyone laugh, or you're a complete psychopath, who knows? But I'm telling you, nearly getting everyone killed is just not the way to do it. Like, I promise you. Like, getting everyone killed is just not the way to be funny. It is funny in retrospect, but that's only because we were laughing at you because of how stupid you were. We're not laughing with you. We're not thinking, hey, you know, this Betty girl should be a comedian or something. When she screamed, "Come kill us" during a lockdown while our lock was broken, I was laughing my pants off. That's how you pull a good prank. Like, nobody was thinking that. So Betty screams the second time, right? And this other dude in my class, who I'll call Thomas, made a comment about sacrificing her if someone came into the room, which everyone instantly agreed with. Before you say, "Oh, that's so mean," put yourself in our shoes. Our door isn't locking, right? This girl is literally screaming for people to come kill us, where there actually is a possibility that could happen. So sacrificing her if someone does come in would, you know, be pretty good karma if you ask me. Also, the dude's comment was actually funny, unlike Betty's insane requests. But I guess Betty didn't really like that too much. She must have just felt so insulted by this dude because she screams a third time, this time saying, "Kill Thomas first!" That's just straight up like not okay. At least before, you were generalizing your death threats to the whole class. Still not good, but it's not like, you know, targeted or anything. However, now she's making death threats to specific people. In my opinion, if the stuff before didn't cross the line, this definitely does. Alright, here's my opinion on the matter. If the door was locked and she kind of whisper screamed these things like, "Come kill us," like, you know, that actually pretty funny. Like, I'm not gonna lie. But the problem is, she's screaming at full volume, where if there was someone, we'd all be dead. Throughout this whole thing, the teacher had been unusually quiet. Like, maybe he's in shock, or maybe he's scared of making noise. If the latter's the case, I'm sorry, man, it's way past that point. But he finally does something here, and he tells her to shut up, which, you know, like, good for you, Mr. Teacher. It's not like you could have done that the first time or anything. But Betty decides that she doesn't want to shut up. She doesn't really want to listen to the teacher because she, I kid you not, she starts pounding on the wall that separates our class from the next class over, which obviously is extremely stupid. Like, you're gonna make a lot of noise, and you're also gonna scare people in the next class over. That's just really, you know, not cool. At this point, I was starting to wonder if she actually wanted all of us dead. She screams 3 times, and now she's pounding on the wall. Like, I don't want to make any accusations or anything, but the evidence is just a little suspicious at this point. But then, ladies and gentlemen, something truly amazing happened. The teacher actually does something useful for once, and threatens Betty with a suspension if she does something one more time. I thought it was kind of a bluff to, like, get her to stop, because at that point, I was certain she was already gonna get suspended, but I guess it actually worked as Betty finally shuts up. Peace at last. You know, like when your alarm clock wakes you up and is going off, and you kinda gotta, like, reach your arm out to turn it off. I felt like I had just turned off the alarm and went back to sleep, because it was just beautiful silence for the rest of the lockdown. So I'd say another 20 minutes or so goes by, and we hear footsteps, so we assume that it's either the principal or the vice principal, as that's what usually happens during a lockdown. They open the door, and it's blocked by the desks that me and my friends put there, but then they get through it within like 5 seconds, which was a very big disappointment. Sure enough, it is the vice principal as well as two cops. They congratulated us on our smart thinking, which, I felt pretty good about that. And then they thanked us for being quiet. Yeah, we were definitely not quiet, I'll say that much. They assure us that, it's just a drill, like it's fine, no one's actually here. And then they leave the classroom. The lockdown ends shortly after, and we all go back to our regular routine. As far as I know, Betty never got in trouble, which I find rather odd. I mean, she screams, "Come kill us," during a lockdown. You would think she'd get in trouble, yet sometimes things surprise you. For those of you wondering, yes, this is a remake of an older video on the channel. The reason I'm remaking it is because I've gotten better at making videos since then. I'm not amazing by any means, I still do struggle quite a bit, but I'm definitely better than I was like 8 months ago. I know how to make them longer, I know how to make them a little bit better. And also, this is like the story I tell people when they ask for my crazy stories. So yeah, this is a remake of an older video. If you want to listen to more stories just like this, I got an hour-long compilation on screen right now. There are some really entertaining stories on there, such as a kid who spanked his principal.